Part 15, we left off with Nicole Cassinger's phone just being picked up from the Thornton Police Department, where they had downloaded the documents that was left in her phone after she had to mass delete. It was on August the 11th through August the 16th was the records that they obtained from her phone that was left after her mass delete of messages and such. So, moving right along into Part 16, we are going to be going into an investigative supplement report, and it's going to be a follow-up on Shenan's missed doctor appointment. And I'm assuming this is the name of her doctor's office, Centra Health Avista Family Medicine. And the first witness is going to be Emma P. She is going to be the manager, and also Susie S., and she is going to be the receptionist. And the synopsis reads as a follow-up on Shanann Watts' missed doctor appointment, action taken. On 8/15, CBI agent Matthew Saylor responded to the doctor's office located in Erie, Colorado, to follow up on information we had received that Shenann Watts missed an appointment on 8/13/18. Upon arrival at approximately 11:45 a.m., I contacted Susie S. at the front desk. She confirmed that Watts had an appointment scheduled for 8/13 at 9:15 a.m. So see, a lot of people believe that it was at 9 a.m. Some believe that it was at 10 a.m. Her actual appointment was at 9:15. But, her being like most of us, or like me for sure, if somebody asked what time my appointment was, I would probably say 9, just because I would be there at 9 more than likely, because I always try to get there a little early, So that could be where the 9 o'clock thoughts came from. And that Watts did not arrive for that appointment. She advised me that the appointment was for standard gender and genetic testing with Dr. Stephanie Traver of the Women's Health side of the clinic. She explained that half of the clinic is dedicated to the general practice and the other half was dedicated to OBs and gynecology. She told me that the appointment had been previously scheduled for 8/8/18 and 8/9/18. She said that the previous appointments had been canceled and rescheduled by Watts. So she had canceled and rescheduled. This would have been the third time that she was scheduled to have this done. As opposed to the appointment on 8/13, for which Watts did not show or call, Dr. Traver was not currently in the office. She advised me that Watts was also a patient of Dr. Scott D. on the general practice side of the clinic, but had not seen him since October of 2017. And we know that she was very proud of the fact that Thrive had helped her not to have to go back to the doctor and to take these medications she was prescribed. Chanel advised that she could not provide any additional information as it would be a violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. Chanel provided me with the name of the manager and the general practice side of the clinic, Emma P., and of the woman's side, Ann Knowles. She suggested I contact them for any additional information. I left voice messages for both ladies with my contact information, requesting a phone call back on 8/16 at approximately 1300 hours, and that would be 1 p.m. I received a phone call from Papasil advised she was not able to provide any additional information as it would be a violation of HIPAA. As of the time of this report, I have not received communications from Knowles. End of report. Lang said that both girls were scheduled to start at the school again when the new year started on 8/13. Lang said that between 8 a.m. and 8:15 a.m., Shannon Meyer received a phone call from the girls' father, Chris, stating they would not be attending the school. Lang said that Chris then asked Meyer if the girls were at school. Lang said that Meyer was, quote unquote, freaked out by the call and later reported it to police. Lang then brought in Carrie Wood, the director of the school. Wood said Shenann's mother called between 8 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. to ask if the girls were in school. Wood said that Alba O., the assistant director, then spoke with Shenann's mother midday. Wood asked her what time was it that they spoke, and she called at around 11:30 a.m. Again, asking if the girls were dropped off. Wood said that she then spoke with Shenann's mother at around 1500 hours, and that would be 3 p.m., again asking if the girls had been dropped off at school. Wood advised her that they had not been, and the girls' grandmother told Wood that they were missing. I then spoke with Meyer by phone, speakerphone in the office, and Meyer said that Chris called at about 8:15 a.m. on 8:13 and said that after he introduced himself, she told him that they were expecting to see the girls starting at the school, and he replied that he was calling to let them know that the girls were not going to start. He said he wasn't really sure what was going on yet, but they were going to be moving and putting the house up for sale, and they were not sure if they were going to stay in this area. Meyer responded with, quote, "That's pretty crazy," unquote. Meyer said that Chris then asked, quote, "The girls aren't there, are they?" unquote. Meyer said she told Chris no, she hadn't seen them, but to let her check and see if they were clocked in, and they were not clocked in. Chris said okay, and to put them down as not coming in. And Meyer asked if he wanted to be placed on a waiting list in case something changes. Chris replied that they might as well, but they weren't sure what was going on. Meyer told him to keep them updated and that the teachers would be sad to not see the girls today. Chris thanked her and then hung up. Meyer said that Shenann's mother, she could not remember her name, called about an hour later, after Chris had called, and spoke with her. Meyer said that Shenann's mother called back around 11 or 11:30 a.m. and spoke with her. Meyer said that Shenann's mother said that she was Shenann's mom and that everything was fine, and not to tell anyone that she had called. She said, "Don't tell anyone that I called, and excuse me for caring. Don't worry about anything." I don't know why, I just find all that so weird. And I remember the first time I read this, I think I had to go back and read that paragraph like 3 or 4 times because I just couldn't understand it, really. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And it still don't, just to be honest, so I don't know. Meyer said that she told Shenann's mom that she was glad everything was okay, and that she was glad that they were able to talk to Shenann, and Shenann's mother was hurried and hung up. Meyer said Shenann's mother called back again and spoke with Wood at around 1500 hours. I asked Meyer about Shenann's mother stating, quote, "Excuse me for caring," unquote. And Meyer said that she assumed that she had spoken with Chris, who became upset that she had called the school. I asked Meyer if they told Chris that Shenann's mother had called, and she said no. The only time anyone at the school talked to Chris that day was when he called in the morning. I asked Meyer about Chris's demeanor when he called, and she said he seemed normal, but she was surprised that the girls were not coming back. Meyer said she suspected that they weren't really moving, and that was just an excuse. Meyer said it was strange because they had just spoken with Shenann recently, and everyone was excited about the girls coming back to school. Mayor said it was strange to suddenly get a call from Chris stating the girls were not coming back. Mayor said she didn't notice anything strange in Chris's demeanor, but thought it was strange that he asked if the girls were there. I asked Mayor if Chris was the one who typically called the school and dealt with the school issues, and she said no. Shanann did the majority of the pickups and drop-offs. Mayor said that Chris did come to the school, but Shanann was the primary communicator. I asked Mayor who would normally call the school if the girls were sick or something similar, and she replied that Shanann normally would. Wood then told me about her conversation with Shanann's mother at around 3 p.m. and said that she asked if Shanann ever dropped the girls off, and Wood told her no. Shanann's mother said that they were missing. Lang said it was a surprise to find that the girls were not going to be starting. He said that they had been attending the school since March of 2017. Lang said that the school has never had any problem with the girls or Shanann or Chris. Lang said that the girls being gone for the summer, they haven't seen them recently to notice any recent changes. Lang said that Mayor thought the phone calls from Chris were very strange and wanted to call the police right away. Lang said he told her to wait until they knew something, and as soon as they heard that Shanann and the girls were reported missing, they called the police. I left my business card with Lang and asked them to contact me if they had any additional information. End of report. Okay, moving on down. This is going to be another investigative supplement report dated 8/22 as well. This is going to be the interview of Leonard King, which is the ex-husband of Shanann. The synopsis reads, "It was determined that Shanann Watts was previously married to Leonard King, an attorney in North Carolina. CBI agent Galbraith interviewed Leonard King by phone on 8/15. Now, I've had many people ask me about this interview. I've never heard the audio of it. I've never heard the phone recording of it. I'm not sure if I don't even think it exists, to be honest. I know it exists, but I do believe that it is probably it has to be part of the discovery that has been withheld and is not available for public record. The one that we can't get a hold of. And someone asked me how many pages approximately were there that we didn't get. Well, we know as far as pages, there's 200 or more, somewhere around that area, at least 200. As far as the audios, videos, cam footages, night security, we don't know. We don't really know how much of that we don't have. And my speculation, obviously, is this is one of the audio recorded interviews that we do not have access to. However, we do have the transcript here in the discovery of the phone interview that they did with him. So I'll just, of course, read that aloud. And this just says the address. Yeah, Frederick Police Department. That's where he called him from. About Shanann Watts. Ex-spouse, number 1, Leonard King. And he's 39 and she was 34. So it looks like they were 5 years difference in their age, in case anyone was wondering about that. And going on down, the synopsis reads, "It was determined that Shanann Watts was previously married to Leonard King, an attorney in North Carolina. Action taken. CBI agent Galbraith interviewed Leonard King by phone on 8/15. I spoke with Leonard King by phone on 8/15 at 14:27 hours, and the synopsis reads, "It was determined that Shanann Watts was previously married to Leonard King, an attorney in North Carolina. Action taken. CBI agent G interviewed Leonard King by phone on 8/15 of 2018. I spoke with Leonard King by phone on 8/15 at 14:27 hours, and that would be 2:47 p.m. He had heard about the case in which Shanann and her children were missing. Leonard reported that he and Shanann were married in 2002 or 2003 and divorced in 2007 or 2008 in South Carolina. Well, it's odd that he can't remember what year they were married or what year they divorced, so seems like that marriage really must have meant a lot to him. That's terrible. They had no children from their marriage together and have not communicated in over 10 years, he estimated. Leonard reported that he and Shanann took out life insurance policies when they were married around 2004, 2005 through USAA. They were large policies, $250,000 or $500,000. After the divorce, Leonard kept his, but changed it to $100,000 and changed the beneficiary. He assumed that Shanann kept her policy and would have changed the beneficiary. Leonard denied that he currently had any policies on her life, and Leonard does not believe that the divorce decree addressed the life insurance policies. He does not believe that they addressed the life insurance policies. So see, that's kind of a gray line. I was actually asked about this by a subscriber the other day, and I tried to explain it the best I could as to what this says. But you would think with policies being of that larger of an amount that they should have been addressed in the divorce. So I don't know really if Shanann kept her policy and changed the beneficiary, or maybe even didn't change it. Maybe he was still. I don't know. I'm sure she would have. Surely. But then again, maybe she didn't even keep it and didn't even have it anymore. I have no idea. That's kind of a gray line on that part. Because USAA was still one of the banks they were using to bank through. You know, they had USAA and Chase. So, and USAA, I believe, I'm pretty sure you have to be, I know actually, you have to be a veteran or some kind of military to have an account through them. Pretty sure I'm right on that. If I'm not, feel free to correct me, but I believe that's correct. And, because I know my father used to bank through them, and pretty sure I heard my parents, mention that you had to be a veteran or in the military or something like that to have an account through USAA. So, I'm assuming Leonard was a veteran, maybe, because Chris wasn't. So, and maybe Chris was just grandfathered in because she already had an account there through her husband. I don't know, maybe her dad was a veteran, but I've never heard that, so I'm not sure. Anyway, don't want to get off the loop here. Let's get back here. Leonard's current wife dabbled in Thrive, which was the same employment as Shanann Watts. Leonard had heard that Shanann was really involved in Thrive. Leonard actually did not know Shanann's last name until a few days ago. I don't know. That's kind of odd that he wouldn't even know her last name. But, it's possible, so. He learned of this case from social media and news. He had already been contacted by NBC News, and Leonard agreed to share my contact information with his wife for her to call if she knew anything about Shanann, possibly through Thrive. I asked Leonard about his relationship with Shanann. When their marriage was not going well, Shanann poured herself into her work. She worked a lot and stopped coming home at night. Well, she definitely done that this time too. She put her all into her work. And as far as not coming home at night, well, she did. She looked forward to coming home to her husband and children and, family and friends. She looked forward to coming home, but she had been gone quite some time and hadn't even been home but maybe a handful of times since the end of June. Leonard agreed to share my contact information with his wife for her to call if she knew anything about Shanann, possibly through Thrive. I asked Leonard about his relationship with Shanann when their marriage was not going so well. Shanann poured herself into her work, worked a lot, and stopped coming home at night. Leonard was unable to get details from her. Shanann would stay gone, but he was never concerned that something happened to her. Leonard knew that Shanann first worked with cell phones when he met her. She then went to work in Charlotte, North Carolina for a Middle Eastern guy that owned a tire and wheel business called Dirty South. She was the store manager. Leonard had heard that Shanann left her cell phone at home, and he said that she used it constantly when he knew her, and she was very well attached to it. Leonard knew nothing of Shanann's current husband other than what he saw on the news. Leonard said that people liked Shanann. She was a compelling personality. Shanann was in high school when Leonard first met her. Shanann was in high school when Leonard first met her. She got along well with people. I asked about Shanann's skills in conflict resolution, and Leonard said that he was very interested in marriage counseling, and they went to couple sessions, but it was virtually impossible to engage Shanann in conversation. Once she was done, she cut herself off from him. At home, they would be in different rooms, and she was always too busy for what Leonard had going on. She was not confrontational and more withdrew. I thanked Leonard for his time, and the interview concluded at 2:48 p.m. So, in an odd twist of totally different circumstances and things here, it's almost like their marriage kind of dropped off. In some ways, similar to what was happening with her and Chris's marriage. Except it's like Chris was doing what she had done in her first marriage to her. I hope that makes sense, what I'm saying here. For example, Leonard wanted to save the marriage, and they went to the marriage counseling, but it wasn't working. It wasn't going to happen because, when Shanann was done, she was done. She would cut herself off from people. And at home, they would even be in different rooms. They weren't communicating, and it almost is. It's almost oddly, and in a strange twist now, this marriage was their marriage, Leonard and Shanann's marriage. At the end, the way it was drifting off is almost similar to the way Chris and Shanann's did. Except with Chris and Shanann, it was Chris that was acting or doing, I don't know how to put it, the same roles that Shanann done in her first marriage. So odd. So very odd, that is. If you could minus the horrendous act that Chris did at the end with his family, take away that part, and just remember the last month of how Chris and Shanann's marriage was going and what she was saying was happening with Chris and how he was acting and sleeping in the different rooms, not communicating with her, not really interested in doing the marriage counseling, just totally pretty much cutting himself off from her. It's almost the same. It's so odd. Anyway, moving right along, we will be going into another investigative supplement report. This one is dated on 8/23. This is going to be Ann Meadows' interview, and that is going to be the realtor of the Watts. Synopsis: CBI was asked to assist Frederick Police Department in a missing person homicide case. Cassie Rosenberg, close friend of Shanann Watts, provided that Shanann and Chris used Ann Meadows, a real estate agent, to purchase their current home. Agent G contacted Ann by phone on 8/15. See the narrative for details of the interview. Okay, and the synopsis reads, CBI was asked to assist Frederick in a missing persons homicide investigation, and it's just going to read the same as exactly what we just read above. Action taken. Agent G contacted Ann Meadows by phone on 8/15/2018 at 1954 hour, and that would be 7:54 p.m. Ann told me that Shanann Watts sent her a message on Facebook Messenger on 8/10 to tell her that she and Chris were thinking about moving. So this was on 8/10. This is when she had already left, I believe, and she was in Arizona, or headed to Arizona, one of the two. These dates just run together. She said that she would be out of town and back in town Sunday night. She wanted to get together with Ann to discuss after she returned. Shanann asked for the best sites to be looking for homes on, and Ann sent her to RE Colorado and sent Shanann a mobile app to search with. Ann then sent Shanann a follow-up message suggesting they get pre-approved for a loan to begin with. Shanann did not reply, and Ann expected that she would once she returned to town. On Monday, 8/13 at 8:28 a.m., Ann received a 3-minute phone call from Chris Watts. Ann was surprised and actually taken aback when Chris called, as it was Shanann that Ann usually talked with about the real estate. Ann was their agent when they bought the house they were living in. She only talked with Chris maybe twice during that transaction. Chris asked Ann if Shanann had called her yet. She told Chris that she sent her a message in Messenger and that Ann suggested that her and Chris get approved for a loan, pre-approved for a loan. Chris told Ann that no one knew yet, but he and Shanann were getting divorced after not getting a loan for over a year. Ann was shocked and told Chris that she was sorry. He told Ann that not even his family knows. As the day, 8/13, progressed, Ann sent text messages to Chris and Shanann about the house. Shanann was usually vocal on issues, and Shanann was not weighing in on the group text. Ann justified that perhaps the divorce situation had Shanann not participating in the topic of the text. Ann discussed comps in the neighborhood and updates to the home by text in an effort to estimate value. Ann saw on Facebook that Shanann was missing and realized that Shanann had not weighed in all day when she was texting Chris. Ann reached out to Chris and stated that she realized Shanann was missing and asked if he was okay. He assured Ann that he had reported to police and she could send prayers. Ann knew Chris and Shanann before they bought the house they live in. They were both very loving to each other and seemed really in love. Shanann was lovely, sweet, and ambitious. Chris was quiet and a good father. Ann knew nothing about the Watts' finances, and Ann believed that Shanann was successful with Thrive, and she worked very hard. I thanked Ann for her time, and Ann forwarded screenshots of her communications with Chris and Shanann Watts. Review of the screenshots recorded by Ann Meadows. Chris Watts called on 8/13 at 8:28 a.m. 3-minute call, and provided a screenshot of the contact entry which shows this call and the duration. Facebook Messenger messages between Shanann Watts and Ann Meadows. Shanann reaches out to Ann to tell her that she and Chris would like to talk with her about selling the house. She told Ann that she was out of town until late Sunday. Ann asked Shanann where they wanted to move, and Shanann told her that Chris was talking about Brighton or Fort Lupton, stating they cannot move too far south due to his job. Shanann said they had just talked about it last night. She then said they had thought about it off and on, but the construction behind them was holding them back. They now have a lot of it done. Before Shanann paints the baby room and more, she wanted to see where they are at and their options. Ann suggested Brighton and Erie. Shanann said they do not want to downsize for the same price they are paying, though. On Friday, 10:25 a.m., Shanann asked Ann about Realtor.com or Zillow. Ann suggested recolorado.com as the best to look and said she would send her a phone app. On Saturday at 10:05 a.m., Ann messaged to suggest Shanann talk to one of Ann's lenders. And this is going to be going into the actual messages, and it says Shenandoah did not reply. And it looks like these starts on August the 10th at 9:35 a.m. And the first one would be Shenandoah writing to Ann. Shenandoah: Hey love, how are you doing? Chris and I would like to talk to you about possibly selling the house. I'm out of town until late Sunday. Ann: All right, where do you want to move? Shenandoah: He's talking Brighton, possibly Fort Lupton. We can't move too far south because of his job. That area. Ann: Got it. Shenandoah: We just talked about it last night. Ann: You move fast. Shenandoah: We have thought about it off and on, but the construction behind us was holding us back. They have a lot of it done. Before I paint the baby's room and more, I think it's better to see where we're at and the options. Ann: My suggestion would be not to move too far out. The further you go, the more vulnerable your money is. Brighton might be best of both worlds, or Erie. Shenandoah: So Brighton is good. We didn't want to downsize for the same price we're paying, though. Ann: I think it might be a better option than Fort Lupton. Keep in mind that when the market turns, the outer lying across get hit first. Brighton might be your best bet. Shenandoah: Okay, sounds good. And then Shenandoah sends her a realtor.com link, and she said best to look what's here or Zillow. And then Ann: recolorado.com is best spot. I will also send you a phone app. Shenandoah: Thank you. Ann: Anytime. I was also thinking maybe we should have you talk to one of my lenders. What do you think? And of course she never replied to that. Okay, and then moving on down, this is going to be the text between Ann and Chris. It says on Monday, 12:27 p.m., Ann texts Chris to tell him she was working on his market analysis and asked about upgrades to the house. Now this was on Monday, 12:27 p.m. Chris replied that the basement is still unfinished and there are no upgrades. Ann asked about a comparable model in their neighborhood, and Chris agrees to drop by it when he gets home. Ann says that it is under contract and she will call the realtor, so see what is sold for to get a number. Okay, let me stop right there. Chris took some very odd photos of his basement. Shenandoah was in North Carolina, and they were odd to say the least. And I believe it's when she was in North Carolina. Again, these dates are so very close together. I believe it was when she was in North Carolina. It's in one of our other discoveries. It was either that or maybe just as soon as she left for Arizona. And the reason I mention this is because these questions in particular about the photos of random spots in his basement, just odd photos of temperatures of the refrigerator that was in the basement. A lot of people was like, why is he taking these photos? This is weird. Why would he do that? And a lot of people assumed he was taking the photos for Ann because she had asked about the basement. Well, according to this, she didn't actually ask herself. She just asked, was there any upgrades to the house? And Chris himself is the one that mentioned the basement is still unfinished and there was no upgrade yet. Now, keep in mind, this conversation about the basement and the upgrades was done between Ann and Chris on Monday, 12:27 p.m., August the 13th. These photos that he took of his basement and that odd refrigerator temp was done well before this. So, there again, maybe he was taking them for Ann, and maybe he knew Ann was going to ask this question, or who knows, that was never asked why. No one ever asked Chris why he took these weird pictures that was found on his phone. But, even if you wanted to speculate or think that he took them for Ann, that is fine. But at the same time, they definitely were not taken at the same time. This conversation that everybody was relating to as to why he took them was done. So, just thought I would throw that out there because if you're not real familiar with this case, you will eventually hear about these basement pictures and that refrigerator temperature photo. You will hear about that at some point. And I think it's important for it to be known that the upgrade in basement talk was not talked about that we've seen, and Anne did not say they had spoke about this until 8:13 at 12:27 p.m. Okay, moving right along. Anne asked, "Is Shanann okay? She hasn't weighed in all day." And Chris replied, "She hasn't been around all day. It's very odd." Anne replied that it is really weird and asked if he was worried. She asked if Chris had checked with Shanann's friends or called to report her missing. Chris told Anne that he had done it all, and the police are handling it now. Monday, 5:47 p.m. Chris thanked Anne, and she asked if he drove by the comparable house. He said that he just did, and that is the exact model. Anne was waiting to hear back from the agent, and then they could set a time to meet. Okay, now going on down, this is going to be the group text that Anne was sending, as you will see, to Shanann and Chris. And this one says 8:13. No, this one says Monday, 12:27 p.m. And this is Anne in the blue and Chris in the gray. Anne: "Hi, I'm working on your market analysis. I would like to bring my listing coordinator with me when I bring it. Did you finish the basement? Any other upgrades? Thanks, but..." Chris: "Basement is still unfinished, but no other upgrades." Okay, so Anne is the one that initiated asking about the basement. So see, I just said just a while ago that Chris was the one, but no. Once you get in and see the actual copy of the text message, it was Anne that initiated the conversation about the basement being finished. But at the same time, that still is on Monday. So, and Anne did not mention talking to them before that, except on the 10th when she spoke with Shanann, and we just saw those messages. There was no mention of the basement in those either. So, Anne: "There's a house in your neighborhood, 6805 Saratoga, and it looks like the same model. Do you agree?" Confirming 3-car garage. Chris replies, 3-car garage. I will drive by the 6508 address when I get home. Anne: "Thanks, Chris. Not a lot of comps. I have a call into that realtor to see what it sold for. It's under contract, so that will give us a number." Chris: "You're welcome." Anne: "Is Shanann okay? She hasn't weighed in all day." Chris: "She hasn't been around all day. It's very odd." Anne: "That's really weird. You must be worried. Have you checked with her friends or called and reported her missing?" Chris: "I've done it all. Police are handling it now. She hasn't been around all day. It's very odd." I'm sorry, I kind of got confused on that one. As you see, the way they're on here, they're just kind of thrown together. I've done it all. Chris: "I've done it all. Police are handling it now. Send prayers." Anne: "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Lots of prayers." Chris: "Thank you so much, Anne." Anne: "Did you drive by the 6508? Chris: "Just did. Yup, that's the exact model." Anne: "All right, I'm waiting to hear back from that agent, then we can set a time to meet. Thanks for checking on that." Chris: "You're welcome." Down. This is going to be another investigative supplement report. Report date 8/22. Description will be the interview of Frank Rusek. Synopsis: interview of Frank Rusek. Narrative begins on the following page. Okay, and this is where we're going to stop on part 16. Getting into part 17, we'll be immediately going straight into the report made on the interview of Frank Rusek. If you have not heard his interview, it is audio recorded, and I do have it here on the channel, and I will link it right here at the end of this video, which is right here. So if you want to hear that interview before you actually hear what they wrote in the report about the interview, then you can do that by just clicking on this link right here at the end of the video. I hope you all learned something new from this. I hope it was educational to you, and it helps you in your journey to trying to understand and educate yourself in the Watts case. Thank you so much for listening. Please give us a thumbs up. We really would appreciate it. And until next time, this is Unjustified.